On today's episode of Locked On Angels, we're going to recap last night's return of the blowpen and what we would do if we were the hitting coach and what Reid Detmers is doing to get back to where he was at the start of the season. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to get back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? It's time to subscribe and become a Locked On everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation. And today's show is brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use our promo code LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100.
Thank you for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Mike, we've been fans of this team for years, and you know what I hang my hat on? We were here before Artie Moreno and John Carpino, and we'll be here after Artie Moreno and John Carpino as Angel fans, and I hope you feel the same way, Locked On Everydayers. This is our team, and we'll be here before this nonsense, and we'll be here after this nonsense. Mike, I don't know if you saw the video of John, what else is on TV, Carpino watching the hockey playoffs from his suite as the Angels lose 10-5. We'll get into that in just a minute. But isn't that just the sum up Angels baseball right now for you? Like, what else is on?
Nachos were so good, John Carpino, or
yeah,
whatever he was eating.
I hope they give you indigestion. Good grief.
Yeah.
We're here 5 days a week. Yeah, no kidding. We're here 5 days a week through the Angels season, talking Angels baseball with you Monday through Friday. On today's show, what would the Super Halo Bros do if we were the hitting coaches? Well, we certainly wouldn't be here talking Angels baseball, but you know what?
Right.
Here we are talking about this team. What Reid Detmers is doing better after he had a bullpen session, what he's going to try to do in tonight's game. Mike, let's recap that game against the Cardinals. It was the ultimate buttercup as the Angels had a full-on bullpen collapse in the 7th inning.
Yeah, John, since the start of May, the Angels bullpen have combined for a 2.25 ERA, 32 innings pitched, 8 earned runs, and an AL leading .72 whip.
I thought Perry Manassian couldn't build a bullpen, Mike. Is this one game last night indicative of the entire season? Is this how it works in baseball?
Well, here's the thing. They decided to lay an egg last night. It was a perfect night to lay an egg, right?
Yeah.
And so the Halos went up 4-0 with some great small ball, some timely hitting, things that speak directly to my heart. I'll share that in a later segment. But then the bullpen falls apart in the 7th inning, John. Cimber comes in the 6th inning. He gets out of a bases-loaded jam. He's now stranded 15 inherited runners. Super marvelous, super fantastic. Then starts the next inning and gives up a home run, then a single to Gorman and Herrera. Then he leaves. Matt Moore comes in. Moore gives up a single to Donovan to load the bases for the second straight inning. Then Wynn singles and Gorman scores. 5 straight hits at this point for the Cardinals. Then Moore gets Burleson to pop out in the infield. So I'm feeling okay about that. But then Matt Carpenter singles, knocks in 2 runs. Then Moore walks Nootbaar. Then Moore's out. Garcia's in. And then Garcia, first pitch, hits Paul Goldschmidt,
right,
and gives the Cardinals the lead. Then he strikes out Arenado. He walks Gorman. Herrera singles, knocks in 2 more runs, and then finally gets a fly out to win. Johnny, it was an 8-run inning for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Terrible.
All the guys that you're supposed to count on in terms of Cimber and Moore and Luis Garcia were the ones not coming through. So I'm not going to blame this loss on the kiddos, Mike, because the kids in this one, you had that incredible double play, and it was between Zach Neto, Kyren Paris, and Nolan Shonowell. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. Logan O'Hoppe struggled in this one. He had a 3-pitch at bat late in the game, and I said, Logan, are you okay? Are you all right, bud? Because that was just maybe one of the worst at bats I've ever seen. And I really root for the guy. I really root for him, and I know that he wants to be better, but that was just not a good thing. But the fact is here, Mike, it's all these veteran relievers, and we all know relievers are volatile and are, you have to go off the track record that they bring into the season. And the fact is that these guys, have been good. You mentioned the stats up at the top of the segment. And this is, of course, they lay an egg against the Cardinals, who, they had a comeback win the day before this game, but they are a team that needs to get right. And who better to get right against than the turd Angels, right? Because this is what they do every single time. And the difference between rebuilding and whatever the Angels are doing, rebuilding is, this could have been Ben Joyce, it could have been Eric Torres, it could have been Mason Urla, it could have been a moment for them to learn. But the vets don't give up 8 runs, let alone the lead in this game.
Yeah. And that's really the difference between what we talked about yesterday, where the Angels are like, oh, we're in win now playoff mode. But if they actually chose to rebuild and maybe told fans, hey, we're going to take a couple years to make sure that this team is solid players built from the inside out. And then we have a moment like what we had last night. Again, if it was Ben Joyce or Mason Urla or Eric Torres, or even if Sam Bachman was healthy, I think we'd be like, oh man, guys, you got to get it together. But it would have been a learning moment. But because it was Matt Moore and Garcia and Cimber, it was like, this is why we paid you. This is why you're on the team.
What are you doing?
All of these young guys got you a 4-0 lead, including Jose Soriano, who pitched out of his mind, John. He's been one of the best, if not the best, Angel pitcher. And here's what's funny about it, is that Ron Washington said, we're going to move him to the starting rotation from the bullpen in spring training because we need some length there. Like it was kind of I think we need to do this.
Yeah.
And so now he's ended up being one of the best pitchers on this team. 5 2/3 last night, 2 hits, 3 walks. One of them was a timer violation, no earned runs, 6 Ks, 83 pitches, John. He lowered his ERA to 3.72. Johnny, he looked great, and this looked good after that 6th inning when Cimber got out of the bases loaded jam.
Yeah.
But then everything just kind of fell apart in that 7th inning.
You get to the 7th inning and you have a 4-0 lead. There's no excuse to give that up. I even thought, you know what? Cimber gives up a home run. He hasn't given one up all season long. Okay, you know what? Arenado got away with one right there. And so I wasn't concerned until there was a hit and another hit. And Matt Moore comes in. Hit. Like, it was that Bugs Bunny gif of all the guys just like doing the Mamba and hitting baseballs. But like, here's the thing about Jose Soriano. I know it's 5 1/3 innings pitch, and this is the second start in a row where he's gotten to that 6th inning and he's just struggled to finish that 6th inning. And again, this is what a proto rebuild looks like. You have a guy like Soriano getting to the 6th inning and then learning eventually how to finish that 6th inning, right? And for him to get there again and struggle to get through it, I don't put any blame on him. He's at 83 pitches, and this is him starting again. This is after a year of coming out of the bullpen. This is him getting to the 6th inning, maybe a little bit tired, maybe the location's off, maybe he doesn't have the feel for the pitches he did when he started the inning, or started the game, I should say. And that's a learning experience. That's not a win now experience. Right. This is a learning experience. Right. And so it goes back to your point and the points we made yesterday. This is not a win now team. You put in Jose Soriano because, hey, he's going to give you a really good start, but he's not going to get through the 6th inning. And that's because he's young. That's because he's inexperienced. Mike, he had 2 Tommy John surgeries. And so you've got a guy who's age 25, 26 or so, but probably is more like a 22-year-old in terms of experience because he missed out on those 2 years of pitching and because he's becoming a starter for the first time in the major leagues. So in my estimation, that's what you do when you're rebuilding. That's not what you do when you win now.
Right. And here's a theory for you when you talked about Logan O'Hoppe. And Logan, are you okay? I think Logan has got his mind full right now. Mindful on offense and mindful on defense. And I think in that last at bat that Soriano had, and I don't remember who he was pitching against, you know that Logan's calling those pitches. There was a couple of times where he looked over to the dugout, so I wasn't sure if it was like Wash calling him or one of the pitching coaches, but Logan's calling the pitches, Soriano's agreeing, and then he's going. There was the last batter was 3-2, and Soriano threw his knuckle curve. I knew that the knuckle curve was coming, and I knew that the knuckle curve more often than not doesn't hit the strike zone. And the batter, I think it might have been Lars Nootbaar, the batter just watched it. Like he wasn't even, you could tell he was not even going to swing because I think he knew that was the pitch that was coming. That is Logan O'Hoppe learning how to be a receiver, learning how to be a signal caller, right? Learning how to be the guy that says, okay, he's probably thinking knuckle curve. Let's give him a 100-mile-an-hour fastball top of the zone, right? I mean, those types of things are learning moments. I'm okay with it because you're up 4-0 at that point, and Soriano's really looked good, and Logan O'Hoppe is learning how to catch him. Yeah. And then you bring in Cimber and you get out of the inning. So I'm cool with those moments. And if they blew it, I'm cool with them blowing it. If it was young guys trying to figure out how to get to the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. Sure. I'm not okay with these veterans falling apart because this is not what you pay them to do. Estevez can't fall apart. Yeah. Like, can he blow a save? Sure. That's baseball. And that phrase has been used as a crutch rather than a reality for the Angels so far this season. Like, hey, that's baseball. Let's just turn the page. Listen, the pages are starting to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, right? Like,
you're running out of pages there.
You're finding yourself right now on a 97 loss pace. And you're 15-27 and you can't win at home. And there are too many games where you should have won at home, like last night's game, like the Estevez blown save, where it's just deflating to this team. I don't know if you saw it on the broadcast, but after, I think it was game 1 against the Royals, and Zach Neto got the final out, and he was frustrated with himself. He sat in the dugout for a good 10 minutes with his head down, right? And then they asked him, like, what was that about? And he said, I just needed to sit in this. I needed to sit in this because I let my team down, I let myself down, and I can't do that, right? And so I love that perspective from a young guy. Yeah. What he needs is a veteran who goes, I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to pick you up the next game, and we're going to be up 1-0, and I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to pick you up. We're up 4-1. Cimber comes out, and Matt Moore comes in. I'm going to pick you up. Yeah. But they can't. And now Matt Moore can't even pitch, who was one of our best bullpen guys last year. So all of this is just really frustrating because they keep saying, well, we're in the win now. We're going to win now. We're going to go in the playoffs. No, you're not. No, no, you're not. Yeah. You're rebuilding. So rebuild, get rid of Drury, get rid of some of these bullpen guys, bring up some of the young guys, and let them get major league experience. I don't care what your ranking is in the minor leagues. There's some good people in the minor leagues right now. I mentioned them. Eric Torres, Mason Urla. Those guys are great bullpen guys. Bring them up. Yeah. Let them figure it out. Let Kyren Paris play second base until the wheels fall off because that guy seems to be hitting better in the major leagues than he does in Double A, right?
And he created chaos on the base paths. He was able to score after Nolan Shawnuel hit a bunt. And, well, first of all, he had an RBI double, and then Shawnuel bunted, and he was able to get to third. And then on the misplay over at first, he came home and scored. It was 2-0 at that point. And then Pilar adds on a 2-run home run. And God bless Kevin Pilar for actually putting some offense together for this team because they need it wherever they can get it. Final thought on Logan O'Hoppe here. Mike, he's been batting 5th in this lineup, probably needs to go back down because it seems like that's where he's more comfortable in terms of managing the offense and the defense, like you were saying. And I think another example of that is Matt Moore throwing his fastball up, should have threw the changeup down, and he threw the changeup up. And so the eyes were sitting at the top of the zone against the hitter that he gave that up against. So all of that to say, I think that Logan is managing the offense and defense. Like you said, the Angels fell to 15-27 in this one. They're 5-15 at home. Really, really just making it so much fun to go to the ballpark. And, you know, maybe everybody else is tuning into the NHL playoffs like, John, what else is on TV? Carpino. That's his new name from now on. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. I don't care, Mike. I don't care. They don't seem to like us, and we don't like them very much either. And we're gonna call them out on our platform. So, John, what else is on Carpino? Salute to you, my friend. Because I know you guys are watching. I know you are because all of a sudden nobody seems to want to talk to Locked On Angels anymore. So the Angels playing the Cardinals, 6:38 Pacific time. Reid Detmers is pitching, and we're going to get into what he's doing differently. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels. I feel a rant coming on. I got to save that for another show. Coming up, we're going to preview tonight's game and share what Detmers plans to do better in this one. We'll talk about that coming right up.
Johnny, I've been using PrizePicks lately, and you're the fantasy guru out of both of us.
Well, but I'm not doing so hot right now. But.
Well, here's my problem with PrizePicks. I love the platform; it's so much fun. My problem is that when I pick the Angels, I'm always wrong. But when I pick other teams, I'm always right.
Why are you picking the Angels for? That's your problem. That's not PrizePicks problem.
Yeah, I know. It's not PrizePicks problem. It is my problem. I guess I just need your direction. But I picked all the Angels. I've been trying to be supportive of our team. And is this guy going to go this many innings, or is this guy going to hit a home run, or
never play fantasy baseball with your heart, Michael? That's your problem.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Well, PrizePicks helped me learn that, so I appreciate the people there. With PrizePicks, it's a whole lot of fun to play, and it's not you against all these baseball sharks like John. You can actually play against you in the numbers, and if you don't pick the Angels, you actually could win. It's picking between 2 and 6 players and deciding if they're going to produce more or less than the projected stat. You get it right, and you can watch the winnings roll in. And with PrizePicks, once you win, they're offering Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account. So once you win, you can see the money roll in, and then you can go ahead and try again, which is great. And if you use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB, you get a first deposit match of up to $100. So if you win, PrizePicks is going to help you win, and use our promo code, and they're going to give you a little bit extra cash. That's really great. So join PrizePicks today. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And every dayers, if you haven't done so already, it's time to make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program just for you every single day to bring you the biggest stories in sports. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news. It's streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. The Angels are back at it tonight against the Cardinals, 6:38 Pacific time. Of course, John Carpino is going to be watching the NHL playoffs instead. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels. Mike, you know me. When I get on one, I don't let it go. And I know your big brother energy is telling me, John, you need to cool. No, I can't cool it right now. I cannot cool it right now. I'm so friggin' mad about that. It's absolutely ridiculous.
No, I get you. And It's funny to me that the team president is engaged in something else, and he's just feeding his face, and no, not a care in the world. But your team is 15-27, right? And you haven't done much at all. Go talk to your buddy Artie and figure out how you can make this team better. And it probably starts with you going, "Do we have a buyer? Let's see who's out there right now." Johnny, let's talk about. Oh, go ahead.
By the way, our buddy Casey, who loves hockey, said, "I mean, I get it. NHL is better."
That's great.
Better than watching the Angels right now. Good grief.
Johnny, let's talk about tonight's game, actually. Sonny Gray is on the mound, and he's facing Reid Detmers. Should be a good pitching matchup if Detmers can figure some things out. We'll talk about that in a second. But remember,
Sonny Gray's, there's a guy that we could have signed over the offseason, Sonny Gray, and he's with the Cardinals. How about that, Mike? Another arm that the Angels didn't sign.
He signed a 3-year, $75 million deal with the Cardinals. So far, John, 4-2, 2.29 ERA. He's got an expected ERA of 3.31. John, these are pretty good numbers. 29.2 whiff percentage, 31.9 K percentage, 4.3 walk percentage. So he's getting a lot of swings and misses, lots of strikeouts, and not a lot of walks. Angels need to pay attention to that.
I'm so proud of you for getting these stats. Look at you using whiff percentage and K percentage, not a lot of swings and misses. Mike, you even put 26.2% chase rate. So most of his pitches are in the zone. Now he relies on 6 different pitches, Mike. 4-seamer, he uses about 25% of the time. The curveball, about 20%. He's got a cutter, a sinker, a sweeper, and a changeup. So he's got quite the repertoire for Sonny Gray, who's a veteran. And 3 years, $75 million. That's pretty affordable, Mike. How did we miss out on that one, huh?
Right. 4-2 with a 2.29 ERA would look really great in this starting rotation right now. I'd love to see that. Of all the potential batters against Gray tonight, Johnny, Kevin Pillar has the most at-bats, 27 at-bats. He's hitting .259 with an OPS of .569. All the other batters haven't had more than 5 at-bats against Sonny Gray. However, in a small sample size, Joe Adell has a home run, and Cole Tucker is hitting over 400 against him. So we'll probably, more likely, see Tucker in the lineup tonight.
Do we? Do you think they will? I'm sorry.
No, I know. I'm with you. I'm with you. Like, if they're gonna play the numbers, that might be a smart move for them. But and I would say with Ron Washington, it seems like he's making some smart moves, because even last night he said that Joe Adell batted second because somebody from the analytics said, "Hey, here's the numbers there," and he was like, "Okay." Now, didn't work out, but he did make that move. So he's making.
Joe had a good game,
He's making managerial moves, and he's also making analytical moves, which I love. But Johnny, when you talk about how many people have faced Sonny Gray, none of the Cardinals, according to the stats, have ever faced Reid Detmers.
Yeah, and that's because they're playing the Cards 3 times a year, or sometimes it's a little bit more than that, but they're playing every team, every single series against a team since last year, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Everybody's doing that now. By the way, I went back and looked at that 4th of July 2013 game against Wainwright and the Cardinals. Angels won that one. And you know who started for them?
No.
Joe Blanton gave up four earned runs, and the Angels actually came back in the 9th and scored 3. So it was a walk-off game that I totally forgot about from July 2013 on July 4th. So yeah, for the Cardinals, none of the guys have an AB against Reid Detmers. This could be to his advantage. He's just trying to get back on track, and it should be the team that he could do that against, but we all know that everyone does that against the Angels. He said that he's been thinking a lot on the mound, but that everything feels the same. The body feels the same. He also said that we're going to dig into it and see if we can figure some things out. In fact, Mike, they mentioned it on the broadcast. Mark Kubica mentioned it, that during his bullpen session, Detmers identified something in watching the video back and being able to say, hey, you know what? That seems like an area that's gone wrong. So now that I'm aware of that, I'm going to correct that and fix that. So Detmers said that the data helps in some circumstances. It's one of those things that you don't know what to think about. And we mentioned that Reid Detmers has been missing the corners with his fastball. He's been pumping that fastball into the strike zone. And prior to this, he was getting guys to chase that fastball out of the zone, Mike. In fact, the whiff percentage on his fastball has gone down from game to game. So it's become much less effective. If he can get back around the edges, that means that he can get guys to go after it, maybe miss some of them. But more importantly, if you're hitting that fastball around the edges, you're going to knock it into the ground. You're going to pop it up. You're going to fly out. And that's where Detmers was most effective prior to these stinkers that he's been putting up. But there is also a reality that the league is catching up and adjusting, which means that Detmers needs to adjust back. Hopefully that's what he's identified in that bullpen session. But also, again, no ABs against this Cardinals lineup could be to his advantage. So perhaps there's some adjustments to be made, but also perhaps there's a chance for him to get out of this one against the Cardinals and put up some zeros tonight against St. Louis.
John, I got a bad word to share with you. That bad word is insurance. Insurance is hard, right? I mean, it's hard personally trying to figure out all of the details. And it was recently that my wife and I actually got life insurance for me, but now I'm watching my back just in case.
Right.
But insurance is hard. It's hard in your home. It's hard in your business. And that's why Policygenius is so great, because they help you find what it is that you're looking for. They've got technology that makes it easy to compare personalized quotes and policies from top-rated insurers side by side. We recently just used this, John, and Policygenius was so helpful in giving clarity for what we needed. And here's what we needed, what we have. We actually tried.
Nice.
Hey, we're gonna move. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. What do you think? And they came back and said, you actually got the best of both worlds and the best for your family right now.
Love it.
When it comes to life insurance and everything. And so I was really grateful for that. And I know you will be too. And here's why. They work for you. They don't work for the insurance companies. So when they give recommendations, they're not thinking about somebody who has, some cash that's giving them, under the table or whatever. They're thinking about you. They're committed to you. And they're also committed to keeping your information secure, because security is their priority. So that's good news with all of these data leaks and things that we hear about all the time. So check out Policygenius right now, because they're ready to help you check life insurance off your list. Policygenius.com/LockedOnMLB. Make sure you use that website so that they know that you came from Mike and John, Locked On Angels, and let them know that you're grateful that they helped me, and I'm really betting that they can help you. That's Policygenius.com/LockedOnMLB.
Mike, if you and I were the hitting coaches on this team, what would we do? Well, I'm glad you asked, and I'm glad that that's the segment that you chose for us to talk about. Look, we kind of put our heads together, and we tried to stay away from each other's ideas But we've watched a lot of Angels baseball this season and for the last few seasons, especially since we started doing Locked On Angels. And prior to that, Super Halo Bros. We have watched a ton of baseball, Mike, and we have had our complaints about hitting. We've had our complaints about the hitting coaches. And this year, it's interesting to me that even though the Angels have a new hitting coach, it seems like a lot of the problems that they've had over the last few years are still there. And it's not a matter of, well, it's Taylor Ward. He's a holdover from those years past. No, because last year, Zach Neto was a newbie. Nolan Shawnwell was a newbie. Logan O'Hoppe was a newbie. Yeah, they got some playing time. But the fact is, I don't think that the number of at-bats that they got last year would sink in so much into what they're doing that it would affect them this year. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to say the fact is these guys have not had the bad influence of prior years batting coaching, hitting coaching to influence them this year. So there's something to be said about, is it the talent? Is it this? Is it that? It seems like they're going through another hitting coach. And that's why we wanted to have this conversation, because Johnny Washington, you know, he did some good things as the assistant hitting coach in Chicago. He's one of the guys who helped Cody Bellinger have the year that he's had. Yeah. But when you're coming over to a new organization and you're learning the players just as much as they're learning you as a hitting coach, there's going to be problems that still arise. So, Mike, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on what the Angels need to do better from a hitting perspective.
Yeah, I want hitters without an ego. I want hitters that are going to be humble. And what I mean by that is I want them to take direction. And I think that now is the opportunity to give a lot of direction to these young hitters, John. Sure. I know that they got to the major leagues for whatever reason, and their talent got in there, and maybe their mechanics got in there. But now it's time to just kind of hone their craft a bit. Remember when Davis Daniel was on the show and he said, like, hey, what got us there is good. What happens in the majors is just a matter of like, hey, turn the volume up here, turn the volume down there.
What a wise, like, just so much wisdom beyond his years. I hope that we see Davis Daniel. And I know he's a pitcher, but I hope that we see him in the majors soon, because I think he absolutely deserves it.
Yeah, so there's three things that I would say that if I was a hitting coach, I would want my Angel hitters to do. And it all kind of is around the value of no ego, a lot of humility. So first, shorten up swings by choking up on the bat. I would work with my guys hitting at the top and at the bottom of the order on this. I wouldn't necessarily change the meat of the order guys and have them shorten up on swings, although I think that would be a good philosophy for them, especially Taylor Ward. I think that the guys at the top and at the bottom need to shorten up their swings so that they're doing what's necessary to make contact instead of swinging and missing, because they have speed. And if they make contact, they can cause some chaos. As we saw last night with Kyren Paris on the base path, we can see them really make the defense hustle and work really hard. Second thing I would do is I would want the batter to not help the pitcher out when he's in trouble.
Oh my goodness.
And specifically, I'm looking at you, Mickey Moniak. Like, after a walk, take a pitch. Or maybe two.
Or three.
Let this guy get himself out of trouble instead of you getting him out of trouble. The Angels are notorious for getting a pitcher out of trouble by thinking that they're going to jump on that first pitch. Now, if the guy's around the zone, I think that there's adjustments that you can make. But if he's walked batters and he's wild, let him continue to do that until he's in the strike zone again.
We have seen enough of that, Mike, to, yes, of course, make an adjustment if they're in the zone. But you and I have seen enough Angels baseball, especially this season, where guys are totally helping out the pitcher. We even saw it last night. I mean, there was, oh gosh, I'm trying to think. Kittredge comes in, and it was 3 pitches to Logan O'Hoppe because he was helping him out.
Yeah. I loved what happened last night, and this is my third point, bunts and a lot of them. I loved what happened with Nolan Shawnwell bunting the runner over. Look at the chaos that it caused. It caused all sorts of chaos. The Angels were able to score a run because of that. This is what the Angels need to do because they're quick, they're fast, they need to utilize their speed. And right now they're not great with runners in scoring position. And so I'd be moving runners over. I would try to bunt to get on base, especially if they're playing me in that almost shift and I'm Nolan Shawnwell. I would make sure that I'm hitting it in a spot where they're not, because I'm going to use, I know he's not super quick, but I'm going to use a bunt, and I'm going to try to use my speed to at least make the runners move over, or try to beat it out and get it into a dead zone. I think Neto can do that. I think some of these guys at the top and the bottom can do that. So to recap, I think that they need to shorten up their swings, choke up. You don't have to have an ego in this. Second, don't help the pitcher out. Take that first pitch if he's struggling. And then third, bunt and bunt away. Lots of bunts for my hitters if I'm the pitching coach. What about you?
Mike, the Angels are 25th in Major League Baseball with runners in scoring position in terms of actually driving in those runs. So I'm emphasizing contact over damage. I'm putting that in quote because I don't want to see a ton of damage with runners in scoring position. I want to see contact because here's my theory. When you have 3 or 4 innings where the Angels have runners in scoring position, and they've certainly had a lot of opportunities, Mike, and we hear it all the time. Oh, they were 0 for 8 with runners in scoring. Oh, they were 0 for 12. They've had the opportunities. And so you get at least 1 per inning in those 3 to 4 innings where you have runners in scoring position opportunities. That's 3 or 4 runs. Take the 1 run and let it add up over the course of a game. You don't need an 8-run inning like the Cardinals got.
Yeah.
You need 1 here and 2 there and 1 there and 1 there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm emphasizing contact over damage. It's frustrating because the Halos are actually 3rd in hard hit percentage this year, but they're not getting those hard hits at the right time. And you can see that in their fly ball percentage. They're 17th in the league when it comes to hitting the ball in the air at 37%. In fact, the launch angle that they average this year, Mike, 12.6 degrees, that's 21st in the league. So that's no good either. Great. They've got to lift the ball when the time was right, get that sacrifice fly, score that runner from third, or at least be productive in moving runners over. And why is this a problem for the Halos? Well, the team batting average is 240 this year, and the expected is 251. That's 11 more points than they're actually getting right now. Their slugging is 384, and the expected slugging is 421. So they should be better in that as well. They're not the worst swing and miss team in the league, so they're making good swing decisions in the zone. So they actually should be better than what they've actually produced on the field. Finally, I want to see patience at the plate. Like Mike said, don't bail out these pitchers from the other team who are struggling. The Angels, coming into this recording, are 25th in walks, Mike, and traffic on the bases causes chaos on the mound, as we saw last night. The Angels are actually good at causing chaos on the base paths because they're 7th in stolen bases this year with 39 as of this recording. And the Angels also are 28th in 3-1 counts seen, so they haven't seen a lot of favorable counts. They're also 27th in 3-0 counts seen. So I think some patience is key. These guys need to learn how to take walks. Then once they're on base, create the chaos, steal some bags. They're very good at taking the extra base. All they have to do is get on base, and that's an area which they're failing. So for me, Mike, it's a matter of contact over damage. It's time to have some patience at the plate and know that you're going to get scoring position opportunities. You just have to be able to capitalize on them.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. The Angels play the Cards tonight, 6:38 Pacific time, and you can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels.
Hey, give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. I'm ready to get spicy on social media, Mike. Hey, what do we have on deck for tomorrow's show?
Time to buckle up, nerds, because StatCast just released bat tracking data. Woo! And John shouted amen. So we're going to tell you what that is, what it means, and how it affects our Halos tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
It's really insightful stuff, and it's actually really interesting in terms of how the Angels have performed in bat tracking. So we'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, everybody, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
I wonder who's winning that hockey game. I'm going to turn that on.
Yeah, let's text John and see who's winning.